Dear ladies and gentlemen, my name is Cornel Abratis and I'm in charge of technical marketing of copper products, especially for Aurubis rod, Rhine rod and Fox rod at Aurubis Group. I have a metallurgical and metal forming background and I'm your contact person at Aurubis when it comes to product-related questions or concerns. My today's presentation is about wire drawing and its influencing factors. Due to the fact that Aurubis is my employer, I'm very pleased to speak about our copper wire rod for fine wire drawing, whether oxygen bearing or oxygen free, as one success factor to conduct fine wire drawing processes. What can Aurubis do to contribute to a successful drawing process? I have a small agenda for my presentation. First, I talk about oxygen bearing, and second, about oxygen-free copper wire rod. Now, I'd like to take you into the world of ETP1 rod. Copper wire rod is today produced in production processes in which different steps like melting, casting, solidification, and hot rolling are incorporated. There are 5 main process steps to influence the quality of copper wire rod. First, the feed mix. The best feed mix of grade A cathodes to achieve copper quality which is needed to draw to different wire diameters, especially to fine wire diameters. Second, melting of the feed mix. Constant metal flow with the right temperature and gas level to supply the rod line with the needed volume flow rate. Third, casting and solidification. Main area of interest to produce rod with outstanding drawing properties, homogeneous heat transfer and degassing, and constant grain growth. Fourth, rolling and surface treatment. Reduction of the cross-section to gain mechanical properties to process the wire rod in cold drawing down to 0.1 millimeter or below, and excluding iron inclusions. Fifth is the quality control. So we control the product, the parameter sets, and the required physical, chemical, and mechanical properties. This slide will be presented again after each of the process steps. At Aurubis, we have 4 copper rod lines, 2 with the south wire principle, with a casting wheel, what you saw before, and now you see the Conti rod line, where we have 2 of these lines with the Hazelet casting principle. Both are equal when it comes to the final semi-finished product of 8 millimeter ETP1 copper wire rod. The correct feed mix is important to set the basis for a high-quality copper wire rod to be drawn down to 100 microns or less. At Aurubis, we take grade A cathodes from our 4 tank houses and purchase as well grade A cathodes from the market. We classify internal and external cathodes by tests and measurements. So the feed mix is essential for copper purity, homogeneous forming and softening behavior, high conductivity and SEN value, and an excellent surface as well. We as Aurubis have more than 1 million tons of grade A cathodes available out of 4 tank houses in 4 different locations in Europe. Around 40% of the refined copper is coming originally from secondary input and material input and is processed in our metallurgical plants. The melting process is as well very important and a key success factor. What is important during melting of copper cathodes? All burners and their parameters. The copper melt temperature, the oxygen level in the melt coming from the shaft furnace, and of course the applied refractory material. The aim is to control the oxygen and below 200. This is important. And the gas in the melt, and the avoidance of anorganic refractory inclusions. Third important factor is the casting and solidification process, perhaps the most important process step for high-quality copper wire rod for thin wires. The casting mold of the Southwire production principle is built of the casting wheel and the steel strip. The liquid copper is poured in this water-cooled mold. Important parameters are the liquid copper temperature in the tun dish, a homogeneous heat transfer in the wheel and in the casting strip, and similar aspects are as well valid for the Hazelett casting machine, for the Conti rod line. A homogeneous solidification and degassing of the remaining melt is important, and the direct cooling water of or after the casting wheel. The aim is to reach minimized gas pour and blowhole material. Factor number 4 is the hot rolling and the surface treatment. The important parameters are listed here. It starts with the temperature of the bar, the electric current of the rolling mills, and goes to the surveillance and the separation of lubricant. All in all, the aim is to gain a homogeneous microstructure without any inclusions or defects. The last factor is quality control of the copper wire rod. Here are no more parameters important, but test results and measurements. Here you find the list of tests and measurements conducted on the copper wire rod, and which must be fulfill certain upper and lower limits by the standard at least, but for fine wire drawing, much important are higher requirements, and higher limits are set to be fulfilled. Please find here a list of criteria which are important and are the basis for a successful drawing process of Aurubis and Rheinrod. I don't explain in detail all the criteria because during my presentation I already explained them within the 5 main process steps. You can go through the list by yourself. For Aurubis and Rheinrod, we distinguish between different quality classes for different applications. There are 5 different brands, but only the first 2 brands are applicable for fine wire drawing. For some fine wire applications, we need oxygen-free wire rod, and it's mandatory for some applications. At Aurubis Belgium, we have a capacity of around 40,000 tons per year out of 6 lines, 2 upcast and 4 rotometer lines. To draw copper oxygen-free rod, so-called Aurubis Fox rod, to small diameters, some points have to be taken into consideration. Process parameters, special solidification equipment, and application of graphite crucibles are important to produce Fox rod with low porosity and no anorganic inclusions. All in all, for Aurubis rod and Rheinrod, and as well Fox rod, there are process parameters and selection criteria which lead to only a small volume for fine wire capable rod, for wire diameters below 100 microns. Finally, Aurubis benefits of long-lasting customer relationships in the field of fine wire drawing. And therefore, we are convinced to apply the right production and selection criteria. Thank you for your attention.